first meeting of the Monroe Township Citizens Advisory Committee. I don't know about everybody here, but I'm very excited to have everyone here this evening who's chosen to be on the committee. On the actual committee for the board is Ms. Kate Ratner. We have Dr. Adam Lehman down here, Dr. Stanley. I'm sorry, I was in Texas last week. I think I left half my brain with.
You're an hour behind.
An hour behind. Our Vice President Carmen Alvarez and our President Katie Fabiano. I think we should go around the room, if that's okay with everyone, and have them introduce themselves so everybody knows, and maybe a sentence about yourself, why you put your application in. And I want to thank everybody who's here and who put their applications in for these positions, because we've got quite a few. So there's a lot of people in Monroe who are very interested in this school district. And we have our selected here with us this evening. I know they're going to be hardworking, and they're going to enjoy what we're going to present during the year for them. And so I'd like to start with this side over here with Josie, because I only remember her name because my granddaughter's name is Josie. So please give a one very brief synopsis of why you wanted to be on this committee.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Josie. The reason I wanted to be on this committee is as a former educator, currently now in business. I'd like to stay involved in education, and I figured what better way to do that than my own hometown.
I'm Robin, and I'm a mom, grandmom, and I'm an extremely active adult. And I also was an educator, and I taught at the College of New Jersey as an adjunct professor for several years. And I've been out of education for a few years. And like Josie, I really, really look forward to this opportunity because I miss education quite a bit.
Thank you.
I'm Yvonne. I'm the dad of two kids going into Monroe Town schools. So, and I'm a very active person. I serve on my community board as a HOA trustee, and I also want to join the school function in some capacity so that you can give it back to the community, as well as help kids like mine. You know, there are hundreds and thousands of kids that go to the school. So whatever we can bring into the table and make things better, that's why I'm here.
That's great.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Legaspi. I've been in this town for about 26 years or so, I can't remember. Anyway, I am not an educator, but I work in higher ed. And I just finished my master's in MBA. And one of the things they said is to give back to your community, to practice what we learn. And given this opportunity, I want to do that and be able to also absorb all the things that we want to do.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike. I have a beautiful daughter, Althea, who just entered the district in first grade. I have a son, Odin, who is 4 years behind her, so he will be here eventually. So I thought, much like Yvonne said, I wanted to get involved somehow with the education of our children, and no better way to do it than this, I thought.
Hello, my name is Joanne. I currently have 3 children in the Monroe school system. First, I'm not involved in all 3 schools because 2 in high school and then 1 in 4th grade in elementary school. So it is very important to me to be involved and to have insight and also provide insight to this board.
My name is Cheryl Bercuda. I am an educator in a neighboring town. I have 1 recent graduate from Monroe Township High School, and I have 1 son in middle school. And I've just obviously been involved in education for a long time, but watched from the sidelines in Monroe. So when I saw this opportunity, I thought it was a great chance to get involved a little.
Wonderful.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra. I come from a family of educators. I also practice education law, but more importantly, the reason I'm here is I have a 5-month-old at home, so I figured what better way to lay the groundwork, get involved. You know, obviously we got a couple of years, but I just thought this was the perfect opportunity to get involved.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hiral Upadhyay. I'm an engineer by profession. I also did my MBA with major in finance. Why I have applied for this kind of what you can say, the position. There are quite a few reasons, but the two major reasons, if I really need to come out with, the obvious reason is my both kids are here in Monroe School District. My son, he's in high school. My daughter, she's in elementary with Woodland. And yeah, the another thing is like, I'm in the industry of utility, working for PSE&G and closely working with so many kind of school districts, townships within the New Jersey. And of course, there are quite a few person here like Jerry from Board of Education here. And we have Greg from DPW, Randy from Senior Center, like quite a few guys. I'm closely working with those guys on a kind of so many utility run programs which are offering great benefits to the township and the Board of Education. So I was like, let me just be, kind of officially participate under this forum so that if anything you guys are missing out, some of the advantages, rebates being offered by the state and the utility,
Yes,
at least I can guide you people and we can just max out for the best interest of our township.
sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Nandini. I can call me Nan. I'm a digital transformation leader. I'm from the IT sector, almost like 25 years of experience. I am a Kelly alumni. I have been actively engaged in the school system from Applegate, Oak Tree. I have an 8th grader. I wanted to see how I can supplement this communities in a ways for the children, because I see the other school systems and I'm not comparing, but we could provide more. So however I can bring things to the table, like maybe career programs or whatever, right? From my area in the IT sector, I thought this was a great opportunity, so I thought.
All right, good evening. My name is Christiana. You can all call me Chrissy because I know my name is not spelled phonetically. I'm from Jamesburg, and the reason why I wanted to apply for the committee is I have 2 children. They're 13 months apart. One is in 8th grade, the other is in 9th grade. And coming from Jamesburg and my daughter coming to the high school, there's a lot of differences and things that we were not aware of, which I think is a disservice to all of us in our community. There's a lot of Spanish-speaking people, or even in our school district there in Jamesburg, I was seeing there was the issues and I would try to advocate. So for my career, I do real estate title insurance, but I educate on a different level. I teach religious education to children 2.5 till about 1st grade. I'm also very active with networking, and that's something I would love to be able to do and bring to everyone here. I'm part of a group called Business Network International, which is BNI. So it's the additional career professionals. I did do a little bit of PTA in Jamesburg, but it is very small and it's more cliquey because it is a smaller community depending when you come in. So I just want to be able to have all of our children be able to have the same benefits and advantages. And I think if we're all committed to doing that, everything will be copacetic.
Hi, everybody. I'm Maureen Jasowski. I taught for 33 years in Irvington. I don't know if you know what it is. I loved it. I taught 5th grade for 10 years, and then I taught gifted and talented in the middle school. I've been in a lot of committees. Curriculum, I was the activity supervisor. So I was in charge of getting trips and involving parents. So I think I could help. I could be a helpful component of this team. So that's me.
Oh, that's great. Welcome to everybody. It seems like we have a plethora of different knowledges and different career paths, and that we're all going to meld together in order to give back to this district. And I think you all have that spirit that's going to do it. So thank you again for being here this evening. And now I'm going to pass it to Dr. Lehman, who will explain an explanation of the purpose of the committee. I think in your packet, you have our strategic copy of our strategic action plan, and he's going to go over that also.
And so when the idea of this committee originally developed this past summer, we had some discussions about what could be a focus, especially since it's the first first year of a committee like this existing, and we're heading into doing a strategic plan. What are some things that we involve the community in? So we kind of came up with a goal, and it's grounded in collaborating with community stakeholders and to help actively advocate and seek additional state aid and revenue for the Monroe Township School District while simultaneously empowering committee members, that would be you all, with the knowledge of areas of school revenue streams and expenditure. So it's an opportunity to take a different look at what, the budget is not a simple piece, but there are a lot of layers involved in it, and some things that maybe move quicker or are much simpler in the public realm, in our realm as a school district, things have different parameters, constraints or things like that. So, we'll take some time during each meeting, kind of share some information with you. And the reason we kind of thought that this area might be a nice place to start in even one of the committee, again, it's kind of directed back to the strategic plan. A lot of what we have in our goals for the strategic plan is grounded in reallocating or expanding programming and resources and facilities, all our vehicles, our maintenance vehicles and things. There's a lot of stuff that is grounded in finance, it's grounded in money. So, there's question marks every year about our state aid. We have things in place in terms of enrichment opportunities that are, subtle revenue generating pieces that are mostly self-sustaining with a little bit of revenue growth, and kind of share some of that as we go through the year at different community meetings and things. But we wanted to share the foundation of the strategic plan to kind of give you a base. And then as we go through, like I said, each month, we'll kind of share different elements of revenue streams, expense streams, grant pieces, just to give you a deeper dive in that. And then some of the things that we may leverage your expertise in are grounded in, so we always look to advocate for ourselves. We look to advocate with our legislation and our legislators. So we might work as a group to update, draft, finalize new letters to our legislators, right? And then you guys represent a diverse group of constituents. You can help us get the word out when we might not be able to get the word out, right? Collaborate, prepare remarks for testimony. Sometimes we're asked, we have the opportunity to go and sign up to testify. So you can help us, it's a different lens in developing different perspective and preparing testimony for that. Organizing groups to attend budget hearings. That happens occasionally, but COVID, that they had big rallies down in Trenton, but those things happen again. We're a big group here that we can organize bus trips and bus groups down to Trenton and advocate for us. Monroe has a lot of unique needs. We're a community that continued to grow despite the economic circumstances in the past 15 years. We'll be doing a demographic study, but we've kind of stabilized, I would say, and we're definitely not declining, and we're still increasing, but maybe not as much. But despite the economy 15 years ago, 10 years ago, we were growing. And that was counter to a lot of the economic situations we were dealing with. You all represent a bunch of different professional contacts and have revenue and contact streams that we've never been able to leverage before. So we hopefully can leverage some of your professional contacts to inform of either donation or sponsorship opportunities that, reach out in areas we've never reached out before.
And let's see why your head's not. See that, everybody's all scared.
And then, at a very base level, and then one of the things we'll probably ask you to do tonight is return to your groups, your stakeholder groups, and share information. So we're going to do a summary kind of overlook on our strategic plan. We did it at the board meeting. It's on our website. But one of the things we'll probably ask you to do is, now that you kind of have an overview of this, when you go back to your groups that you represent, or you go back to your communities, your friends, your family members, you can communicate out what we're doing. Because again, we recognize everything's recorded, everything's broadcast live these days, but not everybody touches and catches those streams, right? So you got an opportunity for us to kind of reach out to another group. So those are the goals and some of the things we probably will engage you in. It'll depend on the meeting and the topic. But that's kind of my overview of what we're potentially looking to do.
I just want to say, like, I'm so reinvigorated by like having this meeting and having people here who are interested and looking at this, seeing, what we're doing well in our district, what we can do better, how we can do it. Like, I think I probably, this is how I felt like every other month of the board, but how like alone we can do so little, together we can do so much, like by having you guys here and then having you guys find other people, it's that domino effect that hopefully we can start to really, we have a very supportive community, but sometimes, as Dr. Lehman said, people aren't necessarily sure how to support. And so I think this will be really great to get that word out more to people who maybe weren't aware and find ways that we can reach those people as well. So.
Yeah, I think, and this is a conversation that I know, Ms. Ratner, you and I have had since we first came on the board together 3-ish years ago. And this is going to sound kind of funny, maybe a little lame for most of you here, but this is like a dream realized for the two of us. And I know Mr. Dean and Ms. Alvarez as well. This is a committee that we have talked about forming for a couple of years, and to see it coming to fruition and hearing, what you all can bring to the table and how you're here and willing to support, the board and the school district and the community and the kids. This is what we have worked so hard for. And
Definitely had that moment of like pride in each other. Like
we do, I don't want to underestimate how much we truly do value and appreciate you being willing to take time out of your lives, especially a 5-month-old baby. But we really do appreciate all of you being here, and we are really, really excited for all of the things that we know are gonna come from this committee, so, let's get started.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to come tonight. I went to acupuncture and she said, why are you so excited? I said, because I can't wait to come to this meeting, meet these wonderful people that we chose, and know that we're finally starting. And we're starting at the beginning of the rail station, and we're gonna keep going down that track until we might come off of it to get some donations and keep going to find out something else with our IT person, with everybody over here that has all that knowledge, with the gentleman from, like you said, PSE&G, all the former educators, we have some seniors, and we can go back to our communities and relay that this board is going to be working hard to get this district above and beyond other districts in this county. And that's why I think our main, I hate to sound that way, but I think we all want that. Okay, I don't have children that go here. My children are a little bit older than yours. And, but I have children that go to school in Howell, and I have grandchildren that go in East Brunswick. And I would like to give them the same education that I know my grandchildren are receiving in those two districts. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna move down that track, and we're gonna hit our goal of whatever station we want to hit, but we're gonna get there with all of your help and expertise. So I too want to say thank you again for volunteering to be on this committee. So.
Thank you to the administration for supporting us and getting it going for all the work on the application.
Oh, yes, Mr. Moralda, he was wonderful. He did all the name tags. I asked him for today for place cards, because that's what I used to do where I work, and some markers. And I give here, and we have all these. I would please tell you to save them for all the meetings, because we're not going to remember. I do remember too. And but there's some names, and Maureen, there are some that we'll remember after 2 or 3 sessions. We'll remember everybody, because you're that important to us. So if we want to go over the strategic plan.
Sure. So I'll do a kind of an overview of it. I'm not gonna go through and read every word on every slide, but I'll just give you an overview of, the process started last February. It was initiated through the board as we contract with New Jersey School Boards. They're one of many companies that will guide the district through a strategic planning process. It involves 3 meetings invited to the public. We had nearly 50 participants in the first meeting, and then it talked about 40 in the second one and about 30 in the third one. And each meeting kind of had a different theme and a different topic, and ultimately it narrowed the community work. And community included, we had teachers, administrators, representatives from different communities throughout the township, to 3 goal areas, which is the third page. They kind of narrowed down our strengths and areas of focus to facilities and operations, leveraging technology, and the foods they sell. And then the last day, they developed a goal area under each one of those 3, rather goal statement under each one of those 3 areas. So what we did after that is administratively over the summer, we took those goal areas and goal statements and identified action initiatives, tasks. Sometimes they're projects, sometimes they may be outputs or products that we'll create. And then we also established a overview of timeline. We have a research and development phase, a partial implementation, and a full implementation. Just realizing that a lot of these have overlapping themes, overlapping core work that is foundational to some of these goals. So in goal area number 1, facilities and operations, we identified 5 kind of overarching initiatives. One was focusing on operations and logistics optimization. One was facility optimization, operations optimization, specifically in the area of human resources business, transportation optimizations, and then one theme that we have, and it's kind of for what we are here for potentially our goals this year in this committee, is district advocacy and funding. That is a constant, no matter what goal we're working on. We want to always advocate for ourselves and look for grants or other funding sources and work with our legislators. Just some highlights of some things. The district's engaged in an energy savings improvement plan. Raleigh probably, know it. I think you've been a part of that process on a peripheral with Mr. Tay. That's something that's a multi-year project. It involves us using an outside company that does an energy audit on literally every light bulb, switch, HVAC product, everything. They've been, the company we're working with, as well as an independent contractor, been coming in and verifying their work. And ultimately, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take potential savings by replacing equipment and using those savings to actually replace the equipment. As we know, there's a lot of capital involved with a roof replacement, a boiler, an HVAC unit. They get close to $1 million. So, doing those out of a standard operating budget multiple times over a series of years have a strength. So this takes a look at potential savings looking forward, gives us the money to do those changes, and we actually, when we realize those savings, that's how you pay for the equipment you purchase. So it's a multi-year piece. So we did a lot of the R&D. We're in I would say the partial implementation phase, because we have people boots on the ground doing all the work. The next step, which will be in the next few months, will be determining what projects to undertake. And then there's the bidding process and the actual execution of those. So again, multi-year project, but that's just an example of energy efficient operations that we're looking to strategically and very smartly, in a smart way, replace equipment that needs to be replaced past their end of use life. We have, HVAC units that are 20+ years old with lifespans of 15 years old. We're looking to make sure we stay ahead of the curve and we don't have, catastrophic events of really hot, humid buildings where we have, stuff that's getting damaged in classrooms. We're doing a demographic study that work is going to be starting very soon with our demographer that will work with the township in identifying projects on the books to be built out. We'll also look at historical growth, and then that will lay the foundation. We talk about foundational projects. For a lot of the work we're looking at ahead. Any construction projects that we may need to do or not need to do, any planning for kindergarten, pre-K, anything associated with that. There could be a redistricting piece. We don't know what that's going to go, but that is a foundational piece for us moving forward in the strategic plan. Some other highlights. I'll just highlight the electric vehicle piece. We hear in the community that there's a lot of interest in potentially looking at something like that. We recognize that It's probably not a realistic piece to flip over an entire 65 plus. But what we'll do, we have a new transportation director coming on board, is we got to do our due diligence to take a look at what that looks like. And maybe at some point down the road, it will make sense to replace a maintenance vehicle that we have or a delivery vehicle that we have as in our fleet. And there's a lot of grant opportunities that potentially could come up, especially as, you know, we move towards that as a society and things like that. But again, research has to be done on that, but we wanted to put that in there because in 5 years, it's going to be a different time than it is today. And just to be responsible and be prepared to do what we need to do in the future. The next goal area, leveraging technology. The goal statement there was maintain safe, efficient, conducive learning environments for students, staff, and community. There's 3 area action initiatives there, big broad topics: instructional technology, both accessibility and curricular integration. And we have digital presence and communications. And again, there's your common theme of district advocacy and funding. So some highlights there. We just presented a technology plan. That's something that we've been working on for probably 6 months to a year. We just updated again as the calendar year turned over, for the school year turned over. That is another foundational document that is an overview of the vast range of technology. And we're not talking just laptops, we're talking the OWL that's broadcast, live, projectors, phones, everything. And that'll be posted to the website in the next few days for everybody to take a look at. Technology refresh, expansion at the middle school and elementary level in terms of what is a potential increase in one-to-one look like? Is it one-to-one take home, one-to-one stay at school? What devices are we using? Again, not things we're going to do this year in terms of implement, but we're going to start those conversations. Funding is a core piece there. So we come back to this committee in terms of what are we looking at in terms of advocating for funding and things. Digital presence. We all know that, you know, one of the most effective, one of the most easily kind of communicated ways is Twitter, Instagram, Facebook these days. So we're constantly working on that. It's a live, in action piece. We're going at a major website overhaul. We've heard the community in the past few years about, there's a lot of information on our website. I don't think that's the issue, but it's about accessibility and just navigating and stuff. So that's probably something we'll ask this committee for some feedback. The goal, we were just talking to Mr. Feldman, is probably mid to end November. We'll have an initial push out and we'll work with the website host in terms of receiving feedback and making edits and stuff like that. It's a massive undertaking. We've been giving updates the past few months. You know, we had 10 or 15 years ago, I guess a directive for every teacher to have a web page. That's not something that any district does anymore these days. So, but we do have many teachers that maintain a web page. So one of the major pieces we had was integrating those web pages and how do we navigate that? Because the company that we're working with,
Doesn't do it. They don't do it.
most school districts don't do that. So it's fine, but we're working through some unique challenges to us, and we have 500 teachers. So there's there's not 500 websites, but there are a lot of websites that we're navigating that. So moral of the story is we're looking for that. We'll probably bring that to us here and get some feedback. But that'll be a huge communication piece for us. Just having a more user-friendly, specifically social media, or not social media, mobile-friendly. So this website, or the current post is sunsetting. So they're not even putting any effort into updating and, tweaking their modules. So we picked a template and we have something that doesn't matter what size phone device, tablet device, or laptop, or whatever your device you're on, there's a format that this will fit. So.
And a calendar.
Yeah, and there's a nice calendar integration. Piece
Yeah, let's look at that. Yeah, the calendar.
Yep. So we're transitioning, all the schools are transitioning calendars, they all link together and things. So it should be a nice upgrade. And then the final goal area is students excelling. So the goal statement here is Monroe Township School District will establish comprehensive, inclusive, and innovative learning opportunities for all learners. So focus areas, curricular, co-curricular, programming evolutions, continuum of programming to support all learners, full day K and preschool, personnel optimization, that's recruitment, retention, and development. Staff is the backbone of the school district, so we want to make sure we have some goals and some focus areas for that area. And then again, our district advocacy and funding is our with our common theme. So just a few highlights on here. We spoke about in the last committee, the Portrait of a Graduate. We're currently researching, and not researching, but we're communicating with a couple different organizations/companies that will help facilitate this process. It's a process that I would most closely align with the strategic planning process. I think this will be more, we have higher expectations in terms of the engagement of the community. So we want somebody that's going to help us potentially facilitate surveys with the community, surveys maybe with our students, our parents specifically, the community at large, the staff, because we want a comprehensive portrait of a graduate. And that is a long but very important process, because again, that's the foundation of our curriculum. That's the foundation of what we started, half day kindergarten right now, maybe full day K at some point, hopefully, all the way through 12th grade. And no matter what path our students are taking, whether they're going to the military, they're going to a technical school, they're going into the trades, or they're going to college, what's our vision for a graduate? Again, foundational for a lot of the things, including the technology piece that we're looking at expanding on. And you'll hear some highlights as we go through probably in the next couple months about enrichment opportunities. And those are things that we've been self-sustaining with donation or sponsorships that allow us to grow and connect those into the daily classroom piece. MTSS is something under the continuum program for support of all learners that we've been put a tremendous focus on the past few years. I was this past year and a half to 2 years. We were totally overhauling the supports, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 interventions. We've shifted our mindset on data. We've raised expectations about the way the interventions look like in the classroom. We've tweaked our intervention groups in the tier 2 and 3 levels. So that's an area that will pay dividends as students move through. If we help them early, the gap doesn't grow as they get older, right? So that's the whole foundation. And early, this doesn't mean early like kindergarten, first grade. It means when the challenges or the strengths and weaknesses are identified, we catch them early and we support them before the gap grows. Working on full day K, doing the demographic study. Dr. Chandler spoke a little bit in the last committee. The project scope determination is something we'll do this spring. Again, the demographic study is foundational. Who's coming to us in the next 5 years? Where are they coming? That drives what the facilities look like, where the students are moving, where they're leaving, what space we have, which then drives
What space we need.
what space we need, or what renovations we need, or not. It could be nothing. But that will be the goal for. And if you go to the next page, what are we looking to do this year? Right? There's a lot of stuff. These are our priority focus areas. Demographic study, the long-range facilities plan, ESIP, we'll make progress on ESIP, continue our advocacy for everything, basically district funding and stuff.
Can you explain ESIP?
Yeah, we spoke about ESIP at the beginning of the
I know,
energy savings
yeah.
improvement plan. That's the energy work we're doing, so we have the auditors on place. The goal will be to have all the projects identified and any bids that need to go out, any replacements, changing traditional light bulbs to LED light bulbs and things like that.
So
What about the state?
right, and if here ESIP, that's what it is.
I would say it's basically a plan where whatever the replacements, as far as which are covered under the energy efficiency portfolio.
Which saves money.
The replacement, whatever the investment we are doing for replacing those air conditioning units or maybe lighting or whatever, by replacing those equipments, whatever energy we're gonna save at the end of the month, the saving itself will indirectly repay the component of those investment costs. That's how the whole model is being designed for that.
And then it frees up some financial costs for other things that
Yes.
when you do your budgeting, you don't have to worry about then replacing those things because it's money in, money out, it helped itself, and then that money is to be looked and recognized for other things as we continue to talk about kindergarten and all the other things we want. And it is supported by the state, which is very important. So that's why we were very excited to be able to get that approved to the board.
Some of the other things real quick. Portrait of a graduate, I mentioned The goal is to identify who we're gonna work with, and then get the ball rolling on that. I would speak sometime in the spring, but we will work with that company or that partnership in terms of their availability of their staff to work with us and things. We say begin R&D for full day K, really, continue.
We've already started.
Demographic study that is, I spoke to Mr. Tate today, it's essentially ready to rock and roll.
Wait for this rock to open.
And then once we get, the demographer works with the township, they get audited figures, they come in December, they will then do calculations, and usually, because we've done these pretty regularly every 3 to 5 years, the end of January, early February is when we get a final report.
And that really drives everything that we do for any kindergarten considerations. You have to have those numbers, that's very important.
Expand continuing programming, Mr. Maralda highlighted in the last, meeting, all the, like we call them enrichment, but it's really just an expansion of opportunities. We always look at keeping and changing our coursework through the school year, so we're going to continue to look at that. We look at enrollment figures, what courses are popular, which ones we run, which ones we drop.
You might want to take some time to work, and I know you're already giving them the time now, but if you have an opportunity while you're just hanging out at home with your 5-month-old baby, just hanging out. If you want to watch the last meeting, it would definitely be worth it because you're directly related. This group is directly related, and he gave an excellent overview of all these programs. It would definitely be valuable for you. So while you have nothing else to do with your time, that'd be great.
And then on the tech side, the district tech plan,
We just
the
did. I'll watch for
MTHS
that.
technology refresh, that is something we've transitioned to a 4-year refresh at the high school.
I see.
So we will be, engaging in that process, and placeholding it in the budget. And then one of the other things we're looking at is starting to take a look at the middle school and begin to identify what potentially would a one-to-one look like there, and to explore what are the needs, what are the expectations for technology for the staff in terms of the way they deliver instruction, what would the students need to receive that instruction. If we look at bringing Schoology down there, do we need to bring devices home? Do we need a one-to-one, but we keep the devices at
For every classroom, instead of just being team right now, it's team oriented, and although they have a fabulous number, they don't have one per child in the classroom, so maybe that's what it looks like, getting them ready for the one-to-one where they take it home. Then we had the conversations about what does it look like, an Apple environment versus Microsoft environment versus the Chrome environment, what does that look like, what's the comfort level? So, and these are all things that are really at our grasp now that we're able to do. And I love that you did everything in district advocacy, really should just have dollar signs. You should just have the dollar.
And it's reprioritizing and switching. It's, when we turn over certain things, you have opportunities to change things in other areas. So, but it's all about being Monroe first, right? Supporting and advocating for ourselves, thinking down the road in the future in 5 years when your children come to the school district, what does it look like? And, a couple of years as our students move through the high school, what does it look like for them? So it's a really broad lens that we need to take, but we have some guidelines here, we have some goals set, and we have a roadmap. So that is an overview of our strategic plan. Again, we thought the advocacy piece, the funding piece, it's a solid goal for us here sitting at the table because a lot of the things here are grounded in us getting our fair share, us advocating for our fair share. And that's kind of where our work originated. And that, the conversations over the summer were really centered around, what could we do as a committee? And, one thing, I guess, a takeaway from you guys is this exact presentation is linked on the website. So if you go back to your family and friends or your community, and you have an opportunity to share this and to share the link. This is what we're looking to do in the next 5 years. And it just gives, again, a different stream of viewership, right? That everybody represents an opportunity to see where we're heading. And maybe that leads to support down the road. And we'll have more direct support opportunities, but, if you have homework for today, takeaway for today, it would be, whoever you interact with, if you have an opportunity, share this. We shared it, like I said, at the board meeting, it was a comprehensive overview. And that would be what I would ask.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
If we do share with I know a lot of businesses in town and stuff, I do a lot of business with them. Where are these direct opportunities that maybe they can donate to?
Great question.
Mr.
So,
Morales.
Hi, I went out there during the introductions. I'm Zach Maralda.
Zach.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for everyone for being here. I serve as a director, for new programs and in addition to any programs that require regular, evolution. And that tends to fall in many of the programs that were just discussed, whether they be pre-vocational or these 21st century, which as we're seeing are converging, right? These industries. So, and Dr. Townley mentioned, encouraged everyone to watch the curriculum committee. Really just if you watch the last few, one of the things that we have come to realize, particularly coming out of the COVID pandemic, was these complex areas that are really becoming the content areas of our future and our children's future, many of which don't even exist yet, right? The jobs and the content challenges, we talk a lot about AI and stuff like that. But what we quickly figured out, specific to Monroe, based on not just, we talk a lot about student enrollment, but it's not just that. It's, student enrollment is a variable that takes place in a lot of municipalities, but I think what also makes Monroe unique is that we're incredibly diverse, which is a good thing. But also with that diversity comes diverse expectations and outcomes that are expected from our community. And in order to maintain our commitment as a whole child school district, which we are, we don't specialize in anything, whether it be athletics and actually that we talk about this all the time, like much of Monroe's identity as a school district. And really what we are, we're pretty good at a lot of things. But I think what we are really best at is representing what the needs of our community are. And that's really where this committee kind of got a lot of legs. And to answer your question directly, I was approached by a member of the community that had said, a lot of parents are talking about a program that we would like to see. And my response to them is, I don't disagree. However, you're talking about a $90,000 upfront investment in an elementary school that maybe that would be like 80% budget increase in that elementary school. And it's just not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, when we talk about complex content areas, we realize that by the time we become comfortable with this content, it's already evolved beyond us. So we realize that the revenue or the money that we use to fund these types of programs, there is an insatiable desire to continue to invest. And I don't think we can simply just fold our arms and say, well, we can't afford it. So what we realize that we have to identify and secure ongoing and perpetual sources of alternative funding. So we created a specific division within our school district that empowers me to go out and align private businesses with specific programs, where it started off by just asking for a donation and a stadium sign. But what we were finding is that in small businesses particularly, we haven't really cracked the nut on larger organizations yet, which is something that maybe that could come out of this committee. But with the small businesses, all of which have been Monroe and Jamesburg based so far, they like the idea of lining up with specific programs. I'm sitting here doing an ad as we speak for an after-school program that only exists because of 3 partners that have decided to sponsor it. The business administrator of the district has basically told us that we are in a situation where we can't just add new programs in our current financial state. But we also can't say, too bad we don't have money, because our community does not tolerate that answer. So here's where we're at. So we have to go find alternative funding that could come from Trenton, which we're not gonna hold our breath, but hopefully if our community can get organized, and I do think we do have a little bit of a head start, because all these other districts are just realizing what we have been dealing with for a few years with all of those recent occurrences. So we do have a little bit of an edge on that point. I do think we have a first step of being organized. But when soliciting funds from private organizations, we do have a process. That's kind of been under development throughout the last couple of years. So what we do now is I do a lot of direct selling personally to local organizations. But what has been nice is that of late, organizations have been reaching out to me. And my job is to try to offer them something that aligns with their organization's values or ideals. Very rarely will we just get someone that says they want to cut a check and donate to the district. But
We'll
we're
take
fine. Yeah, but we'll find, what I'm finding is that, Joe's Crab Shack wants to sponsor our culinary program. Or, let me Google this name, Craig's engineering firm wants to sponsor our computer science initiative. So we've been trying to, and I've been trying to empower staff to do that. Cold calling hasn't really been working. This time of the year, businesses do like to write off. But they like the idea of their write-off and their contribution having meaning. So if you look at the stadium, we'll be very explicit in what organizations are aligning with which programs. The other thing is, I learned this personally, but our team learned it also when we were stumping for referendum a couple of years ago. Our residents are not opposed to investing in the school district. They don't like just blindly raising their taxes though. And I can't blame them, personally. So I find that the more that we can do to orient the community, whether it's through this committee or even just through word of mouth, or really what I find is through action and through success. Our computer science and robotics and music programs are very easy to sell right now because they dominate. But that's just a drop in the bucket. I think our efforts need to be larger, more comprehensive, and more sustainable because, we're quickly finding a sales division organized within the school district. And I don't know if that's what our school district has been designed to do. But the reality is that we are faced with we're going to be faced with financial tensions probably indefinitely, specifically if we want to be responsive and embrace what this community has to offer. And the idea is if we're going to optimize performance and potential from our students, the 2% cap is not going to cut it. And we know that. I supervise culinary arts and the wood shop. You want to just talk about inflation as it relates to groceries and lumber right there. And there's your 2% cap from seeing curriculum stuff.
Is independent school district not an option in New Jersey?
I don't know if I don't want to answer that. This is my opinion. I don't know how feasible it is financially. And indefinitely.
Is that the same as a charter school? Is that what you're referring to?
Similar, but your taxes are not really like.
Yes, so, you actually did a great segue into what I was gonna bring up, because I know Dr. Lehman had mentioned several times, advocacy. That's something that I knew a little bit about before I got on board. I know a lot now, and so I don't know necessarily how much, all of you are aware of, I'm sure you've heard that there's, concern about funding. It kind of stems from a long time ago when there was, the School Funding Reform Act, which was 2008, which really made things problematic for Monroe. And then there was another act passed by the legislature, which was called S2, and that was 7 years ago, which provided us with a bit more funding than what we were getting, but still not anything near what a lot of other districts, are getting. And so I don't know, because I know we're getting short on time, if that's maybe something we can share a little bit more with you guys about next month, about where this kind of came from. I could probably speak for way too long about it nowadays, but, and what we can do, I know there's Senate and Assembly committee hearings, they have their meetings monthly. There was legislation presented, that was to create a school funding task force. I think the problem that I've seen since I've been here is when they're going through their budgeting, other districts are handling their budgeting, it's out in the forefront. There's headlines, we need to fix this, everything now. But I actually had just looked at the legislature's website and, there's nothing on their agendas about getting this passed. And I think they need to be reminded, well, we don't want to get to February, March, and then start hearing about it again. I think we need to make that happen sooner. So I think that might be, something that we want to look at. I know you mentioned busing down to Trenton, certainly sending letters, but just making them aware. And also, I know Mr. King, we had discussed doing this with the Legislative Advocacy Committee, but talking to the other districts that have either never gotten their fair share, like Monroe, or have lost money in, the past 7 years. A lot of our surrounding districts have
of not having enough money.
So And, you know, while the,
I mean, we all would love to have money from Monroe stays in Monroe, so
right,
that's
while the
definitely.
problems are different between us and South
Yvonne, you're
District,
exactly right.
you know, where they lost money that, you know, maybe they shouldn't have had, but
I'm.
I think that we can all agree, like, well, we still need a new formula. Whether, you know, your problem came from 2008, 2017, I can do math. I think that might be.
And the state cap plays a major role as well.
Right.
And I think we can discuss maybe the next meeting, the budget philosophy.
Sure, I think it'd be a great idea.
They've actually gone ahead of months ahead of predicting. And what was another word that you always use? Prioritizing, with Laura Allen, our VA. And we could share that with you at the next meeting, how we right now stand as, can I say it? That we
And
feel
then
that,
afterward, you could say it, but not.
we now feel like we stand that you're gonna be at cap from what they're predicting
Without
and
having to go out for a budget.
without having to go out. So that's,
I think that would be a nice segue, because I think,
Yes.
I think, you know, we are all here, bottom line is for children. Absolutely. And and the one common denominator is money. You know, and I'm very respectful of the other districts, but perhaps they were getting more monies than we never got. So when they had their money taken away, we respectfully were like, well, we never had it in the first place. I don't know how else to say it.
I said that at county meeting,
I mean, I really don't know how else to say it.
oh, I'm glad I wasn't with you at hand.
So I think this is good. I think this is a great segue, because everything goes hand in hand. There's nothing in isolation. You look at our strategic plan, you look at our portrait of a graduate, what that looks like, and of course, it's very individualized for everybody's child. And then you also look at the budget, so you have a philosophy. We're in the process of completing the board goals, as well as superintendent goals, which go hand in hand. Even though it's a superintendent, I don't work in isolation, so superintendent, assistant superintendent, Mr. Maraldo, you know, our director, our supervisors, all of our leadership team, and because the end product is your child. And you being here is a great avenue, and I was, especially like I was thinking about, you know, you would say, I'm thinking about you with him, with your business, right? You know, so we're thinking about all these different areas in which you work. And I like what you said, if everybody told 20 people, it's a little telephone, and you said earlier, right? Yeah, what you said. Well, everybody tells 20 people, and they told 20 people, they told 20 people.
Wasn't me, but
So not worrying about the nonsense. I don't go on Facebook. We're not worried about that. It's not about the nonsense. It's not about drama. It's not about what you believe to be true, what you don't believe to be true. It's about your children, and it's about your community. If your children don't live here, I live here. I don't have children here. My children are all grown, but I still live here. And even if I didn't work here, I still live here. So we want your input, and I do agree. It looks like, you know, what does it look like getting that group to go? You know, maybe the right person saying the right thing to the right people. You just never know. You know, we have a gentleman sitting here from Public Service Electric and Gas, and we're in the middle of doing a project that he's personally intimate with and has an understanding. You know, we have someone with business that has an understanding of what it means. You're saying, you know, it's very simple. We will take your money, we'll take everybody's money and go see Mr. Maraldo. It's MOROLDN. And that's actually, so we are very proud of being a part of the school district.
take cash, we can take cash, and we take checks, and we'll take,
Sure.
and beer checks.
No gold bars though? You're not taking gold bars and stuff?
No, no.
Helping out.
Everybody has a Venmo account, that's one knows that.
Cryptocurrency.
I just,
segue, because I know we are out of time, but just the
Oh, yeah.
segue is like, kind of like homework.
Yeah.
For a month.
yes.
Is just, you know, taking the time to review the strategic plan, reviewing, is the budget policy on our website?
Yeah, if you want to watch, if you want to watch you don't need to watch the public forum necessarily, but if you want to watch the meat and potatoes, strategic plan, budget philosophy, it really, I talked a lot about putting the cart before the horse, but it was a positive cart before the horse, because we really wanted to be able to see, can we make this happen without having to go out for a vote, and we're trying very, very hard at prioritizing and still giving your children everything.
And you'll hear in the LACE committee about some pending legislation and things like that. So kind of doing some research on what that legislation looks like. The agendas are posted right on the district website, so you can see the codes for everything that we're looking for. And then, you know, next month we kind of dive deeper into, you know, what can we do to go forward from here.
And next month, you can also come back to us and tell us what you've done.
Yeah.
And And feedback from you, what you think we might be able to do together. And, and
It might be great to have subcommittee where.
Yes,
You know,
we could.
people work on networking,
Yeah.
with one person.
You come back in more knowledgeable and maybe your areas are in the areas of like, the engineering part or the business part, the financial, IT, what that looks like for us. Because we're in the process now of adopting a brand new technology plan and then we're gonna do long-range facilities plan. It's just happens to be the year of the plan. So, and it's good because everything has to go together. My goals, our goals, their goals, everything has to just really needs to culminate. So it's actually good that everything's worked out that way.
So as we're sitting here talking, I would go back and maybe change some of the reasons why I'm here. And a couple of things that I personally am very interested in. I came from a district that was a beta tester for Google Classroom. We're Google certified. We were one-to-one. Every child had a Chromebook to bring home. So I do have a wealth of knowledge of that. The other area that I found very interesting as far as advocating, I advocate all the time. I live in Concordia. And so I'm surrounded by old people, of which I'm not one.
Me too.
I find myself advocating all the time for school district budgets and money because it's like people get older and they forget they have grandchildren. They forget that we need to educate the world for a better place. And I'm constantly advocating for school board budgets and things like this. So to put it bluntly, maybe I won't make a lot of friends. Maybe I will lose some friends I have. I feel very much at the heart of this, and it isn't a topic of discourse that I find myself in this last 4 years that I live in Monroe. And it's nice to keep it continuing as a district directive.
Well, Robin, you have a friend in us. Well, don't forget. Yes. Your question?
Oh, yeah, two things. I know we're already over time.
Regarding
money, my kid is in a special ed, and years ago, we wanted to give a donation to his teacher's classroom here, and they are not allowed to take money.
Right.
So we have to somehow figure out how we can donate like stuff or, materials to send that. So I don't know if that's a thing that.
We've donor surveys.
We're not.
We haven't historically taken cash. However, just, and there's a variety of reasons for that.
You can adopt the classroom.
Yeah, and these topics have come up and there are certain things crossover with the business department and I don't want to misspeak, but public rules about those types of transactions.
Right.
However, we did, like, for example, we had a specific family in one of our classes where their children had a very unique experience and they were very grateful for it. So the parents donated a piece of equipment to that program, and we do have a process for that. So it'd be submitted for board approval. And the reason for that is there's liability reasons, also, sometimes, and not saying that this is the reason that they do it, but if there's like a tax, if they want to get a tax receipt, we have to have a paper trail. And this was explained to me because we used to have, in a music program, people donate instruments, so it's all the time. And sometimes we have to explain to them. I know, it's not that we're not grateful, we just have to follow state rules. But as for cash, that's not something we normally do unless it's through a formal sponsorship of a program. We never really sponsored a classroom per se.
We'll look into it.
We will look into it.
And we have Chris that might have an answer to our question there.
Okay, so along with that, I have a friend who they lost a child, and he was special needs, and it's called the First Day of School Foundation, and they will go through, and people can nominate a special ed classroom and that teacher, and they will give back to that specific classroom. So that is something that I know is there. The parents were educators themselves, so that's something that I know that they definitely do. It's like I said, it's the First Day of School Foundation. We can take a look into that, but they do sponsor and do different events.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
It's a great idea. We're ready. We're getting.
were talking about something like donor, like Marina and I, she had mentioned donors choose, that's what you were saying.
Yeah, there's a couple different versions of that. I don't want to speak, but I know that there's some protocols that we would need to take a look at, probably take a look at
For
policy.
donorships. And yeah, I know my daughter in New Brunswick has it. And she goes on and all the, I don't know if anybody knows about it, Donor's Choice. Yeah, thank you. There's a conglomerate of businesses and I guess people with money that put money into this Donor's Choice. Well, my daughter's a Donor's Choice. Yeah.
That's actually what we did, but because
I
it's
thought
a
it was a
business.
choice because I've donated.
It's not enough that we're giving, it's like, let's say we give 500. Instead of all the 500 going to that class, because we use donor choice, it's like partially only went into that because the other part went into that business, so it's not like.
I mean, those.
The donor.
I like the
Those
things to the post.
No, but there's
They like.
In the district that I speak to kind of regulate, what can be purchased, but I've received wonderful things from wonderful donations, books, classroom rugs, toys, tons of materials, so it is a great program and,
It's great programming.
I think definitely into the policies next month.
Yeah, I think we got in a little bit of an issue with partially, like when a donation, it wouldn't go 100% to the schools, so there was a little bit of concern there, but also we, at some point, ended up with like, for instance, Kindles and things like technology that we as a district don't operate, we don't put on our network, we also don't have it on web filters, so.
That's kind of that's one of the things where we can't put in for technology or furniture, but you can put in for books or games or, material and things along those lines.
But we certainly have mechanisms.
Be online.
What's it?
Shouldn't this information be online so for
So
people
we don't have a policy
to go and do
We
it?
don't have a
policy about it, yeah.
So, Committee Alvarez is going to add, look that with the policy committee and try to add it. Because I wanted to say, for instance, my daughter had a class a few years back, who's teaching 25 years, where some of the kids couldn't sit. So on that donor's choose, sorry, I keep saying donor's choice. She had to write about what she wanted, I guess, and you just can't go in there and say, oh, I want $500. She had to say, I want, and they call it something where there's different, some kids sat on the floor. What's it called?
Flux seating.
Flux seating. Some kids sat up higher, some sat on a wall. And I went in there to read for Dr. Seuss, and I asked them how they liked it, and they said, we love it because we can learn better sitting the way we're more comfortable. And then when COVID hit, everything had to be taken out of the classrooms, back to desks. So her stuff is in some place in one of the schools. And unfortunately, she had to starting to bring some of it back for some of the students in her class now. But they have to write about what they want. So
I almost wonder, like, is there like a way that need a?
I think we could be here all night.
That's,
Maybe waiting to get in.
Mark this, because I'll do a little bit more front end.
Please do. Please do, yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone. Pleasure. Rose, take that. You have them scheduled for November?
I'll collect any, why don't I collect any